humanitarian considerations have been awakened in the Democratic Party, which is, of course, the party of Joe Biden. And this is a message that has not been lost on him. He is getting feedback from Michigan, from Minnesota, and from Hawaii, from Arizona, Georgia, all of these states that would have voted for him without much consideration vis-a-vis Trump, because Trump appears to be the other candidate. Despite all his other charges and whatnot, he has emerged as the numero uno, or the number one man of the Republican Party. And of course, Biden and Trump have a long-standing rivalry. So Biden is now concerned and shaken up that when 29% of the Democratic voters in Hawaii voted for uncommitted. Uncommitted was the alternative to Biden that was put on the ballot, and 18% in Minnesota, something like 13% in Michigan, and significant 8 to 10 percentage points in many of the states, that if this continues to be the showing, that he will probably lose the election because it goes on the swing states, and a lot of these are swing states. He won those comfortably the last time around vis-a-vis Trump, but this time, because of his unfortunate posture on Israel, his loyal voter base is really questioning him. And some pressure already has generated a few results. He's making stronger statements vis-a-vis Netanyahu. Senator Chuck Schumer, who is the leading Democrat in the Senate, he has also given a speech very strongly critical, calling for new elections in Israel. But the fact of the matter is that this is all just talk. Even the UN Security Council resolution that just passed, the US did not vote in support of the resolution. It abstained. And of course, Israel was annoyed very much, and a lot of noise was made. And so what has been the Biden response? The response has been, our policy has not changed at all. Okay, so you decided not to veto it, you abstained, and that is not a change. And then they come out and say, this resolution is not binding on Israel. So they're trying to have it both ways. And I have to tell you, the voters here can see through all of this double talk. It's hypocrisy, it's chicanery, it's very disingenuous. And the days when you could fool the voters with rhetoric without action, they are long gone. So he's in trouble. His candidacy is in trouble.
Fair enough. So actually, I wanted to talk to you about Trump as well. But before I go there, so you mentioned that they've come out after the vote. And I want to talk to you about this vote in the UN Security Council as well. And they've said that it's not binding on Israel.
Right.
Would you elaborate that? Actually, I was going to ask that now that the resolution has been passed, there's no signs, seemingly there are no signs that Israel is abiding by that or is ceasefire. So how does it play out then?
That is the sad reality, that even though it is the UN Security Council which has passed this resolution, the US immediately has come out and said it's not binding. And of course, Israel, as soon as the resolution was passed, they rejected it. They said the United Nations is anti-Semitic and its Secretary General is anti-Semitic. If South Africa, as we know, is pursuing the matter at the International Court of Justice and pursuing it very, very well, very eloquently, and honestly, I'm saluting the South Africans, and I'm wondering what happened to the Muslim countries and the Arab countries. Where are they? They're not even visible anywhere. So that's another issue altogether. But South Africa has raised this issue. The US has condemned South Africa as not knowing what genocide means, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, Israel is now accusing the US of not supporting it. So it's a bit of a mess. As far as the UN resolution goes, just to answer your question, as your viewers will probably remember, in 1967, there was the 6-day war. Israel captured all of the Sinai, captured all of the West Bank, and a portion of the Golan Heights. The UN resolution, Security Council 242, was passed asking for a withdrawal. That withdrawal has not occurred except from the Sinai, because a special deal was cut with Egypt. So they pulled out of Sinai, but not out of Gaza. They kept Gaza and the West Bank as occupied territories. Those people have no human or civil rights who live there. They're living essentially in an open air prison, as it has
Yeah.
been called. They cannot participate in the elections. They have no military other than the terrorist organizations, which obviously come into being. And what is very unfortunate is the US stance for several decades now has been that there needs to be a two-state solution. But of course, the US does nothing to create the Palestinian state. Every time something like this happens, like October 7, they begin talking about that one more time. And the latest disappointment is that they want to support the creation of a Palestinian state at some point, but it will not be allowed to have an army or an air force. It'll have no air force bases. So what kind of a state is that? Is that a colony? I mean, it looks like it is a castrated state. You know, it doesn't have anything to counter Israel with, should Israel attack it. So if this is the situation, then why not also have Israel eliminate its army so that it's a fair and balanced solution? But the US, because of the APEC lobby, which is very intense and very real, as we have seen, it will never go there.